On February 17th and 18th, 1944, Carrier Task Force 58 descended on Truk Lagoon. In pre-dawn raids, the F-6F Hellcats neutralized Japanese air power. This was followed by the dive bombers and torpedo bombers that ended up sinking 45 Japanese ships. This is a story of two of those ships that had an unusually large loss of life. On February 14, 1944, the destroyer Oite left Truk, escorting the light cruiser Agano back to Japan. 160 miles northwest of Truk, the U.S. submarine Skate discovered them and put several torpedoes into the side of the Agano. 461 crew were transferred to the Oite, which then headed back to Truk. Unfortunately for them, they entered Truk Lagoon on the first day of Operation Hailstorm, and they were soon descended upon. Despite furious evasive maneuvers, the torpedo hit amidships, blowing up the boiler and blowing the ship in half, taking with it all 461 of the Agano survivors and all but 20 of the Oite crew. The Oite rests on the bottom at 205 feet. One of the first things you see on the stern section is the AA gun that is still pointed skyward in action position. Moving forward, massively bent deck plates gives evidence of a huge explosion. Then we see a deck plate that seems to sag into the distance, but then we realize that it appears that way because the front portion of the ship is completely missing. Then we see that the bow portion lies about 30 feet in the distance in murky water. Approaching this portion, we see what appears to be this dark, cavernous hole where the interior decks used to be. The separation point between the bow and the stern shows definite signs of a massive explosion. Moving along the inverted deck on the seafloor, we find one of the AA guns in a pile of debris. We move along the seafloor to the bow because we understand that the front of the bow is now broken off, revealing a portion of the inside that's not been previously seen. As we begin our ascent to our first deco stop, we see a large school of big-eyed trevally maintaining a tight grouping over this wreck and this wreck only. Very spooky. Originally a passenger ship, the Aikoku was converted to a raider and enjoyed considerable success in the first half of World War II. Converted to a troop transport in early 1943, the Aikoku had just arrived back in Truk in early February of 1944. Being such a large target, the Aikoku was attacked just past 8 a.m. on the 17th of February. Her bow section was hit by several 500-pound bombs, causing it to explode and disintegrate, killing 616 troops and crew. Resting on the seafloor at 210 feet, the first thing a diver sees is the iconic 4.7-inch deck gun, which is still in firing position. Just forward of that are the AA guns, which also are in firing position. Moving along the exterior companionway, we soon realize that there is nothing but a dark blueness ahead of us. We soon realize that this is the vertical shear plane beyond which the ship no longer exists. Interestingly enough, on that vertical detachment plane leads an unblocked passageway leading to the interior. In July 1984, a Japanese delegation came down and recovered hundreds of bone remains from this vessel. They didn't get them all. Preparing to ascend to our first deco stop, we once again find a school of big-eyed trevally. It very much seems like these guys are acting as sentinels, protecting the souls of the many hundreds of Japanese soldiers and sailors that lost their lives on these two vessels.